Hey everyone, my name's Jonah, and I work in a church production environment. And today I just wanted to show a couple of tricks on how to make some very nice looking buttons and pages to help your volunteers, uh, not be so frightened by Bitfocus Companion. Now, the first thing that we always do when we do a setup is we come in, we turn off the top bar on each button. This makes it look a lot cleaner, especially if you're going to be adding a lot of buttons. The next thing that we tend to do is for our keys ourselves, we try to stick with the same design aesthetic around all of our keys just to keep a sense of cohesion around the device. We find a lot of people just kind of use buttons from everywhere, and it makes the entire process seem a little jarring. And so what we do is we either one tool is the unofficial Stream Deck key creator, and if you just try to choose a theme and stick with it the whole way. Another one is this BSK button maker, where you can do a lot of fun stuff, such as you can make multiple buttons at once. So I can make 10, 12 buttons for cameras, or for, I have 12 MEs in my video switcher and want to be able to change them all. And it lets you make all those buttons all at once. What we actually do for buttons is we go to a Canva. So here I have a Canva. I've created a design. It's 144 by 144 pixels. And what we usually do is we'll start with making 2 buttons as a template. So what I'll do is I'll usually just add a box, and I'll usually reserve this space for my icon. So let's say I want all my icons at the top here in the middle, and I think that looks good. And then I'm going to add some text. And we're going to add this text box, and we're going to add it right here. And I'm deciding that the font we're going to use for all of our Stream Decks is this one, Roboto. We're going to use Roboto Bold for all of our Stream Decks. So now that I've got this button, I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm actually going to just make a version of it with 2 lines of text, because you will be needing that. Perfect. Now, the process of making buttons is pretty simple. What we're going to do is find an icon. So let's make one for a PTZ camera. All right, I kind of like this icon. And I drag it on top till it fits that little box. Then I remove the box behind it. And I can now rename these PTZ Camera 1. Perfect. Now I have a button. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share this button. I'm going to download it. I'm going to download only page 2. I'm going to download it as a PNG, a transparent background. I'm going to download that. I'm going to save it as PTZ. Perfect. Now, when I come over to Bitfocus Companion, I can upload a PNG and then change the background to something to make it pop out, because remember the icon we used was black. Perfect. Now I have on my Stream Deck here this beautiful looking camera PTZ1. Now we find that this just process of keeping everything really consistent across everything makes it a lot easier to look at different things. So now I'm just going to take a second and I'm going to make a couple icons in this style that we've just developed to put on our Stream Deck. Great. Now that we've got our buttons in, I'm going to create a couple pages just for an example. I'm going to create one that's just called Home. I'm going to create a new page for our PTZ camera, a new page for our lighting scene, and a new page for our settings page. So these are kind of our menu navigation buttons. The home button we're actually going to move. We're going to copy it. We're going to put it page 2. One thing I find very helpful when you are making more pages and trying to move around buttons is if you go into your settings and then go into the settings for buttons, give yourself a couple extra rows and a couple extra columns This won't actually change what you're able to see on the screen here. But if you look, I now have the option to move, for example, this button off of my Stream Deck, but I can still have it installed in the system here. So you can kind of move around things or hide things that you don't want people to see for the time being, which is very helpful. So we're going to put settings here. We're going to put our lighting page here. We're going to put our camera page here. And we put the home button on the other page. So we're going to delete these. So now we're going to make all of these buttons have an action. So I'm just going to say go to page, set to page. And this is going to set the current surface, which is the device we click it from, to the settings page. And we're going to do that over here. We're going to set this one to our lighting page. We're going to set this one to our PTZ control page. Now, let's quickly connect a PTZ camera. Let's connect just any PTZ, just so we get some options. So I'm going to come over here to the PTZ page. I'm going to delete the default. And if you come over here to the top right, you see the presets. And I'm just going to maybe add a couple of the controllers that we can add. So let me add maybe the arrow keys. And now we're going to set this home button to go to page home. So instead of having your volunteers flip through multiple different pages of each page being its own thing, we set it up kind of like a traditional app structure on like a phone, for example, where you would come over here and you would click on PTZ camera, and then you get all the PTZ controls, and you can go back home. And that makes it, we find, just a lot easier and a lot more intuitive for a lot of people coming from the smartphone world. Now, the nice icons are very good, but we find that a lot of people just leave a lot of blank space on their Stream Decks if you've got a lot of these menu icons, or we'll try to just add text here to make it bigger. What we do is we try to make backgrounds for each of our different pages. So let's make a background for our lighting page right now. Our lighting page doesn't look great. So what you can do is we're going to use the Stream Deck key creator. If you come over here to wallpaper mode, right now we're using the Stream Deck XL. Take a screenshot of this little grid right here. We're going to put that in a Canva design. Now make that Canva design just as big as this thing will fit. Just drag it into the middle, make it half opacity, and then in the background you can drag different elements. So let's find a photo for some lighting. Okay, let's say we really like this photo right here. We can set it as the background, or we can move it around and we can kind of send it behind our other grid, and we can kind of figure out how big it's going to be. Now I think that this photo is going to look great. And the next thing we can do is we can take our font that we decided on in this other design here, just to keep things consistent. We're going to make this font way bigger. And what we can do is we can kind of strategically now place these letters exactly where we want them to fit. So we're going to say lighting. And we can make these bigger, right, until they fit into these keys here. Perfect. We're going to drag it out. And let's say we're putting our lighting presets on this bottom row right here. So I can use all of this space up here to kind of just let people know, hey, you're on the lighting page. There you go. That's going to look okay, I think. So now what we can do is we can just hide the grid, share this, download it as a PNG. Now we come over to our Stream Deck key creator website, the official one. We add our image. We say split image, and perfect. Down here, we've got this perfectly split image. I think it looks all right. So we're going to save these keys. It'll save as a folder. You can unzip that. Now, this is the most tedious part. You have to copy every single key manually. So now you're going to create a button. I find it faster if you create a button and then copy that button and just paste it, so you don't have to push the create button every time. But we're now going to go through every single one of these images and in order add our image to fill out this wallpaper. This is very tedious, and I hope in the future to hopefully make maybe an application or some software that can make the companion pages. But for now, what I do is I just come in here, go through, you find key number 1. Key number 1 gets image number 1. Key number 2, image number 2. Key number 3, so on and so forth. So I'm going to speed this up and I'm going to go through and add all of our images here. Perfect. Now I have all of my keys in here. You can see on the Stream Deck, it looks like a pretty, I could have done better on the N and the G here, but it'll do for now. I'm also going to grab that home button that I made and put into the PTZ one. And I'm going to drag this to my lighting page just so people can get home. And now in a normal setup, what I would do here is I would make buttons here for maybe pre-service or something. The lighting cue for pre-service, the sermon, the video, you know, announcements. And I'd make them look like these, kind of standardized across the sides. But you can see here now there's no mistaking that you are on the lighting page and you go home and you're on the home page and now you're on the settings page, which we didn't set up, but PTZ, lighting, and now you can really see where you are on each page. So those are the two ways that we make our setups a little bit more user-friendly for our volunteers who are using Bitfocus Companion, making custom keys that kind of fit a theme and using a lot of backgrounds and empty space to kind of make sure that people are aware of the options available to them and make sure that they are knowing which page they're on very easily. We find that those two items in conjunction make it very easy for not only our volunteers, but for just random people who need to use, for example, the lighting in the room or turn on some things in the room. Makes it very easy for them to kind of figure out where to go and where to click and kind of design it instead of being an infinite list of different pages. You kind of start with the home page and you kind of spread out from there and you kind of guide people towards the tools that they are needing to use in that instance. Anyway, thanks for watching and hope you have a great day.